1976, Colombian drug trafficker Pablo Escobar was arrested and incarcerated in the La Catedral prison. It seemed like the authorities had finally caught up with him. But behind the scenes, things weren't what they appeared to be. Behind bars, Escobar lived in a luxurious four-bedroom suite complete with a fully stocked bar, a jacuzzi, and even a private zoo with exotic animals like monkeys, camels, lions, tigers, and elephants. He ran his criminal organization from this lavish cell, plotting his next moves while enjoying all the comforts of home. The only thing missing was freedom. But despite being locked up, Escobar had managed to smuggle in mobile phones and computers, allowing him to communicate with his associates outside the prison walls and maintain control over his vast drug empire. This raised eyebrows and questions among the public and government officials. Was Escobar using his wealth and power to corrupt the prison guards and administrators? How could he afford such luxury while still operating a multi-billion-dollar drug trafficking business? And how did he manage to stay connected to his criminal network without being detected? These concerns were not unfounded. In fact, they were backed by concrete evidence. For example, an American architect who designed Escobar's prison cell was found dead under mysterious circumstances, leading many to believe that he had uncovered some incriminating information about Escobar's activities and was silenced. Moreover, the Colombian government received intelligence reports from U.S. authorities indicating that Escobar was still running his cartel from inside the prison and using his connections to influence the local and national politics. These revelations shocked the nation and put pressure on the authorities to take action against Escobar. In response, the Colombian government ordered a raid on Escobar's cell to uncover any illegal activities he may have been involved in. What they found was nothing short of shocking. Despite being in prison, Escobar had managed to bribe the prison staff to turn the jail cell into a luxurious living space. There were signs of heavy drinking, gambling, and even drug use inside the cell. However, the most disturbing discovery was a secret tunnel that led outside the prison walls. It appeared that Escobar had been using this tunnel to escape the prison at night and carry out his criminal activities. With this new evidence, the authorities were able to build a strong case against Escobar and charge him with a number of crimes, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and bribery. He was sentenced to serve the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. And finally, it seemed justice had been served. However, little did the authorities know that this was just the beginning of a much larger and more complex story. Behind the scenes, Escobar's criminal network was still intact, and his loyal associates were ready to do whatever it took to protect his legacy. They had been watching the situation closely and had prepared a daring plan to break Escobar out of prison if things started to go south. And now it seemed like that plan was in motion. As the news of Escobar's arrest and lavish prison conditions spread, his criminal associates began to flee the country, taking their ill-gotten gains with them. This caused billions of dollars in losses for the cartel, but they were willing to sacrifice it all to keep Escobar's legacy alive. They knew that if they didn't do something drastic, the government would eventually catch up with Escobar and bring him down for good. So they hatched a plan to rescue Escobar from prison and keep him one step ahead of the authorities forever. This is the insane true story of Pablo Escobar and the lengths his cartel would go to protect their boss. Pablo Escobar was a man who seemingly had it all. He was rich, powerful, and feared. But behind the flashy cars and mansions, there was a dark side to Escobar that few people knew about. When he was just a young boy, Escobar witnessed firsthand the harsh realities of poverty and corruption in Colombia. His father, a poor farmer, was often taken advantage of by the wealthy landowners, which instilled in Pablo a deep sense of resentment towards the upper class. This, combined with his natural charisma and intelligence, made him a natural leader. He quickly rose through the ranks of the drug trade and soon found himself at the helm of the Medellin cartel. Escobar's rise to power was marked by violence and bloodshed as he ruthlessly eliminated anyone who stood in his way. But as his empire grew, so did his arrogance and paranoia. He became increasingly isolated and surrounded himself with an inner circle of trusted associates while keeping everyone else at arm's length. He developed a taste for luxury and extravagance and spent his ill-gotten gains on fast cars, beautiful women, and designer clothes. But beneath the surface, Escobar was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. His violent and unpredictable nature made him a threat not only to his rivals, but also to those closest to him. As the pressure from law enforcement mounted, Escobar became more desperate and reckless, leading to a bloody turf war that left hundreds dead. In the end, it was Escobar's own greed and paranoia that led to his downfall. He was killed in a shootout with police in 1993, bringing an end to his reign of terror. But his legacy lived on, inspiring future generations of drug lords and leaving a scar on Colombia that would never fade away. Now let's talk about the hidden fort. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, has long been rumored to have a secret stash of Pablo Escobar's money. While the exact amount is unknown, it is believed to be in the millions. The existence of this fund was first revealed in a report published by the Miami Herald in 2007. According to the report, the DEA seized the money from the Cali and Norte del Valle cartels during the late 1990s and early 2000s. The funds were supposedly used to pay confidential sources and witnesses in drug trafficking cases. However, there is no evidence that any of this money ever made it back to the Colombian people or the Colombian government. Since then, various theories have emerged regarding the DEA's secret fund. Some believe that the money is being used to fund ongoing investigations and operations against Mexican drug cartels. Others claim that the money has been embezzled by corrupt DEA agents or government officials. Despite numerous Freedom of Information Act requests, the DEA has refused to disclose any information about the secret fund. This has led to speculation that the agency is hiding something. Perhaps the money does not exist or has already been spent. Or maybe the DEA is protecting its sources and does not want to jeopardize ongoing investigations. Without concrete evidence, it is impossible to say for sure what the truth is. But the rumors persist, and the DEA's secrecy only adds fuel to the fire. Now let's talk about hippos. The idea of hippos wreaking havoc in the streets of Colombia might seem like something out of a movie, but it's actually a real and growing problem. Believe it or not, there are now an estimated 80 hippos roaming free in the Caribbean coastal region of Colombia. These massive mammals can weigh up to 4,000 pounds and are incredibly aggressive, making them a serious threat to humans. But how did these hippos get to Colombia in the first place? Well, it all has to do with one man, Pablo Escobar. Escobar loved exotic animals and had a zoo on his property, where he kept a variety of wild creatures, including hippos. When Escobar was killed in a shootout with police in 1993, his estate was seized and many of his animals were donated to zoos and wildlife sanctuaries across Colombia. However, some of the hippos went missing and eventually made their way into the wild. These hippos quickly multiplied and now pose a significant threat to the local ecosystem. They are considered an invasive species and have been linked to the deaths of several people. The Colombian government has struggled to find an effective way to deal with the hippo problem. Authorities have tried capturing them and relocating them to other areas, but the hippos have proved elusive and dangerous to handle. There are even reports of hippos attacking boats and causing significant damage to property. The situation has become so dire that some experts have suggested euthanizing the hippos as the only viable solution. However, this has sparked outrage from animal rights activists who argue that the hippos are simply trying to survive and should be treated humanely. Ultimately, the Colombian government will need to find a balance between protecting the safety of its citizens and preserving the country's biodiversity. The hippo problem is a complex issue with no easy solutions, but hopefully a resolution can be reached soon to ensure the safety of both humans and animals alike. Thank you for watching.